Now, Raghava Yadaviyam, as the text itself goes, Raghava, one who belongs to the Raghukulam. Raghukulam, how this name itself comes is after Raghu Maharaja. And Raghu, this king, was an ancestor of Rama. So, Rama has got one name as Raghava. So, Raghava is also another name for Dasharatha. Raghava can be Lakshmana, Raghava can be Bharata, Raghava can be Rama. So, anyone who is born in the Raghukulam gets the name as Raghava. But in this context, or popularly, we refer to Rama only as Raghava. Similarly, Yadava. Yadava is one who belongs to the Yadava Kulam, that is Bhagavan Krishna. But Vasudeva can also be Yadava, or Satyaki can also be Yadava, Balarama can also be Yadava, because all of them are born in the Yadava Kulam or in the Yadukulam only. But here again, in this context, Krishna is referred to as Yadava, or popularly Bhagavan Krishna is one who is remembered or who is popularly known when we refer to Yadava, Yadukulam and so on. So that's how this text that is there gets his name, Raghava Yadaviyam, or you can also say it the other way around, Yadava Raghaviyam. Like we have the Mahamantram that is chanted, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. First Hare Rama, then Hare Krishna. You can also chant it the other way around, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Right? So both paddhatis are fine. Similarly, paddhati is nothing but method. Similarly, Raghava Yadaviyam or Yadava Raghaviyam. Both are okay. Both ways you can say. Now, this text that is there, it talks about the glories. We cannot say the entire story because the text matter that is there is hardly 30 shlokas. You read the same shloka backwards, it talks about the story of Krishna. So in all 60 shlokas. So in entire 60 shlokas, we cannot say that the whole story of Rama and Krishna is covered. Some portions are covered. Especially, you can see in all the shlokas of Raghava Yadaviyam, the love which Rama had for Sita, that is described. And with regards to Krishna, but the reference for Rama's story, we can take from Valmiki Ramayana. So, keeping the base as Valmiki Ramayana only, the poet has chosen the subject matter. But in the case of Krishna, now you see, Krishna Leela stories, there are many references, right? Srimad Bhagavatam is one source, Mahabharatam is another source, various Puranas are sources. So like this, or Krishna Tarangini is there. So for Krishna story that is there, the base that is taken is the story of Parijata Haranam, Parijata Vriksham. So we know how the Parijata Vriksham comes from Swargam to down. Bhagavan brings it down, and after Krishna Avataram, the Parijata Vriksham also goes back along with him to Swargaloka only. Yeah. So, but this Parijata story that is there, that is not very much, you can say in detail, it is not described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, or like this there are many commentaries also of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's not described in detail. It is said that it comes in a portion of Mahabharatam. Mahabharatam, that too, not now Mahabharatam, if you see the content, now just as Ramayanam we say has got 24,000 shlokas, similarly Mahabharatam we say about 1,00,000 shlokas, right? 1,00,000 and plus more, you can say. Now that plus more that is there is considering a part called Harivamsha Puranam. So Harivamsham that is there is like, we cannot say the concluding part, like an appendix also, right? So appendix is towards the end. So that, or the gist. So Harivamsham also is regarded to be a part of Mahabharatam only. So along with the Harivamsha Puranam, if you say the Mahabharatam has got about 1,00,000 plus shlokas, right? Now these are all approx numbers, it can go a bit up and down. So this, the base of the Krishna Leela stories in Raghava Yadaviyam is taken from Harivamsha Puranam, from the content that is there, which is Vishnu. It comes in the Vishnu Parvam of the Harivamsha Puranam. If you want, you can make a note. chapters 65 to 76 or so. Yeah. So that is the Parijata Haranam. So like I told you, in Srimad Bhagavatam and texts like that, we don't have in detail about the story of Parijata Haranam that is there. But Krishna Leela stories, or the story of Krishna, which is there in Raghava Yadaviyam, is taken from this part of Parijata Haranam from the Harivamsha Puranam. Yeah. So Rama, stories of Rama, base is Valmiki Ramayanam. Stories of Krishna is mainly from the scene of Parijata Haranam, when the Parijata Vriksham that is there is bought by Krishna for Satyabhama, and the base for that, as in many sources is mentioned, that Harivamsham that is there, which is like an appendix portion or the last portion of Sri Mahabharatam. So this is how the subject matter of Raghava Yadaviyam is there. Now Raghava Yadaviyam is actually a kavyam. Kavyam is a text, a Laghu Kavyam. Laghu Kavyam, a small text, because it is just about 30 shlokas that is there. It is composed by a person called Venkatadri, who was born in Kanchipuram. Now about this poet we will look at him later. Mainly we will focus on the text now. Now the feature itself of Raghava Yadaviyam is a kavyam which follows this Anuloma Pratiloma Paddhati. That is, you see, very very unique text, right? Hardly we will have, I don't think there is any other text, or maybe it can be, but very very uncommon, wherein the same text that is there, when you read it, the same shloka, you read it from front, it talks about the glories of Rama. From same shloka, when you read it backwards, that too without changing any aksharam here and there, it talks about the story of Krishna. So something which is very very unique. At the same time, not only the story, but even the grammatical mistakes, this, that, nothing is there. Keeping the rules of grammar, keeping in mind the rules of Chandas. Now what is Chandas? Now these are all small things that are there, maybe not directly related. Now few of you might feel, why don't we start learning directly? But before we actually learn the text, these small points we must keep in mind, right? Like, if today we are learning a text, say Raghava Yadaviyam by Venkatadri, we must also know the greatness of the text, the greatness of the poet, how much efforts he has put in, how even such a thought can come to one's mind, right? Now, few of us amongst here, we might be scholars also, but someone tells us to say compose a verse or so, it becomes very very difficult for us, right? To compose a shloka itself is so difficult, but still maybe we can try here and then. At the same time, there is a subject matter which we have to follow. All the story needs to be covered properly. First problem is composing a shloka, keeping in mind all the grammar rules. Second is covering all the story properly. Third is something called Chanda Shastram. What is Chanda Shastram? Chanda Shastram is rules that are there, right? Now, we will take a very easy example. The Gita. I assume all of us we are familiar with the Gita. Now you see the shlokas from the Gita, they all are a part of Anushtup Chandas, right? So Anushtup Chandas, meaning all the 700 shlokas that are there, they all have the same tune, except for few shlokas which are 4-line shlokas, right? Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamaka pandavaschaiva kimakurvata sanjaya sanjaya uvacha drishtva tu pandavanikam vyudham duryodhanastada, and so on it goes. So you see all the shlokas that are there. If today whoever is not familiar with this, you can do this small activity. After the class is done also, if you have the Gita book with you, open the book, chapter 1, shloka 1. You count the number of aksharas that are there. It will be in all 32 aksharas in the entire shloka. That is, this is the feature of Anushtup Chandas. Dharma kshetre 4, Kurukshetre 8, Samaveta 12, Yuyutsavaha, half aksharas we should not consider, Yuyutsavaha 16, Mamaka 3, Pandavaschaiva 3 and 5 8, Kema Kurvata 5, Sanjaya 5 and 3 8. So you see first line 16, second line 8 and 8 16 again, in all 32. So like this everything, every shloka in the Gita except for the few 4-line shlokas, it will all have this 8, 8, 8, 8. It should be only 8 aksharas. This is what? This is one tune, Anushtup Chandas, one chandas which has this rule of having 8 aksharas only in every padam. Every padam is one part, every part of the shloka. Like again, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, one part. Samaveta Yuyutsavaha, part 2. Mamaka Pandavaschaiva, part 3. Kimakurvata Sanjaya, part 4. Every part will have 8 aksharas in it. Half aksharas should not be considered. Visarga should not be considered separately. Yeah. So this is the feature of Anushtup Chandas. Like this, we have many chandas that are there. Now, chandas is nothing but meter. Yeah. So a tune, right? Now Anushtup Chandas will have this tune. Maybe there is something else. Like for example, Raghava Yadaviyam, you see, one shloka I chanted previously, it has got a different tune because it belongs to a different chandas. Similarly, we have other chandas like Shardula Vikridita is one, Bhujanga Prayatam is one, and so on. Now let's not get deeper into that topic, otherwise we will go from the main topic. But the main point of telling this is every shloka that needs to be composed in Sanskrit language needs to follow certain niyamas, needs to follow certain rules also. I'll give you a very simple example. In English also, when we write poems also, we have something, you see most of the poems will have rhyming words, right? Bad, mad, cat, pat, something like that. So that is nothing but a style. Yeah. So similarly in Sanskrit also there are certain rules which we have to follow. Like this one I told you, Chanda Shastra. So to compose something, again, first story is very important. Then Vyakaranam, knowledge, the right aksharas to be used, that is important. The rules of Chanda Shastram, like I gave you one example of Anushtup Chandas, there should be only 8 aksharas, right? In that, the subject also needs to be covered, the story also needs to be mentioned, everything needs to be followed. Moreover, the text, now in the case of Venkatadri, this text Raghava Yadaviyam is a Laghu Kavyam, that is a small text. So just 30 shlokas, in that the entire subject matter needs to be covered. Moreover, the special feature of this text is the same text, you read it one way, should have one meaning, that is the glories of Rama. The same text, when the aksharas are put in the reverse order, it should talk about the glories of Krishna. So this is again a special feature of this text. Now, if you think over all this that I told you over the last 5 minutes deeply, we come to know that I cannot do even 1% of this. But what can we do? The least is at least know about the greatness of the poet, greatness of the text, learn this text and also share it with others. This is the least that all of us can do. This also is not, you can say, not everyone gets an opportunity to do this at the same time. Not everyone might be able to learn it or master it, right? The way an expert should learn the text. So all of us, if we have got an opportunity, let us make the best of it. Yeah. Okay. So this is all about the text that is there, Raghava Yadaviyam. Now, one thing which has happened is, one more thing is, this Raghava Yadaviyam was composed by this Venkatadri Kavi. What he does is, he has also written a commentary of the same text that is there. Like this, you have many more poets also who do this, wherein they write a commentary for their own texts. The simple reason being, now the text like this Raghava Yadaviyam also is quite unique, right? So the poet here, he does not want any misconceptions here and there, or you can say the text will be interpreted in a wrong way also, it will lead to further problems, right? So therefore, he writes a commentary of his own text, so that people or learners like you and me later also will be able to make the meanings, will be able to understand the text, get the meanings easily. So this is again something which is very unique and different. Not everyone does this, right? Like say for example, you write a text, there will be someone else who does the Tika Karanam, that is who writes the commentary over this. Like for example, Ramayanam, we have Govindacharya, Tilakacharya, people like this who have written Tikas or commentaries on it. Or Shankaracharya has written certain text also. At the same time, he has written certain bhashya, certain commentaries also. Now, what is the main purpose of a commentary is to make the text easy. Now, say there is one shloka also, there is a translation of it. Again, you take the example of the Gita. Shloka is there, its meaning is put. But we have so many people, right, or so many, like the Gita Bhashyam by Shankaracharya only. The main purpose of that is not everyone, right? Now, even after reading the Bhashyam also, it is very difficult to know the meaning. But just writing the text, giving the translation, doesn't make sense much. Not everyone will be able to follow. So this is a reason why we need commentaries to understand the text better, as well as so that we can also follow. Now say for example the teachings of the Gita, 700 shlokas, 700 meanings are told, the translation of that. But we have so many commentaries, so many books on that, which talk more, which get deeper into the meaning, right? So that is something which is very, very important for better understanding. So here Venkatadri Kavi also does that. In the case of Raghava Yadaviyam, he not only writes the original text, but he is also known for writing the commentary over it, so that people will be able to get the text easily. Yeah, so this is the one more special feature of Raghava Yadaviyam. Now it is said that this text that is there, now this Kavi, along with that you have many other texts also which he has composed along with Raghava Yadaviyam. Now let us talk a bit about the Kavi. Now this Kavi Venkatadri, he was born in Kanchipuram, in a small village, or you can say in a small town of Arashanipalai, and later it is said that he moved to the main city of Kanchipuram that is there. But now in this place of Arashanipalai, we had the birth of Venkatadri, but in Kanchipuram we also have other poets like Appaya Dikshita and many other, Neelakanta Dikshitar and so on, who are also born in this place. So Kanchipuram was a home of many scholars of those times who have contributed a lot, especially to literature, like Venkatadri has given us this Raghava Yadaviyam or Yadavabhyudayam, written by Vedanta Deshika, is also another text, and a commentary on that is written by Appaya Dikshita. So this is something which is again very, very unique. Vedanta Deshika and Appaya Dikshita, they were also during the same time period. So Yadavabhyudayam is the original text on Vedanta Deshika, Vaishnavism, that is there. He writes a text, Yadavabhyudayam. Appaya Dikshita mainly for Shiva glories or so. He talks about that, and he is the one who has written a commentary on Yadavabhyudayam. So why I specified this is the Kavis of those times, again, they did not even focus much on, or the concept of there is a difference between Vaishnavism, Shaivism and so on. They are Vishnu devotees, Shiva devotees. Nothing was there. One person used to write the text, another used to write a commentary also. There was no discrimination at all. So again, this relation that is there between Vedanta Deshika and Appaya Dikshita is also something which is a point to be made. So they were all around the same period only, even the Venkatadri Kavi who is there. So like this you have lot of contributions that is being made. Even today also, if you see, Venkatadri is said to have written about 108 different texts also, something on even Sanskrit Vyakaranam, something on Bhagavan Narayana, something, the most popular text of Venkatadri is a text called Lakshmi Sahasram, yeah, on goddess Mahalakshmi, that, and it is believed that he had lost his eyesight also, and after composing the shloka with the grace of goddess Mahalakshmi and Narayana, he gets back his eyesight also. So along with Raghava Yadaviyam, there are many other texts also which he has composed. Yeah, so he is known for his poetic intelligence. But out of those, so like this, there are about 108 texts, it is believed. Out of that, in today's times, we have roughly about 20 texts also which are available, and that too, most of that is in the form of manuscripts only. Yeah, so especially Kanchipuram in those times was said to be a hub of all this knowledge that is there. A lot of Dikshitas, a lot of scholars who were born in this place, roughly around the 15th, 16th century you can consider. So that's the reason why Kanchipuram, people used to go to Kanchipuram, Tamil Nadu to read, to study. The main reason being you had many scholars who were there. Now Venkatadri belonged to the Atreya Gotra Parampara, and even his grandfather was a Dikshita, Srinivasa Dikshita. His father was Raghunatha Dikshita and his mother was Sita Amba. So a very, very religious, pious family who were there. And he himself, in few shlokas also, he himself gives the reference of his family members. Prakhyatah pranatarti ridgururiti Shri Bhashya Karturmene Karturmunehe Yo Mahanasikastaduktirasikaha Shriman Sayatra Bhavat Vamshe Tatra Hivadihamsa Jalada Charyadibhirbhushite Yajvabrodh Raghunatha Dikshita Kavihe Shri Srinivaseshtinaha. Now the text of everything I will later share it. I will also put it in the description box of the audio that I share, so you don't have to worry. These are all just shlokas. They are not a part of Raghava Yadaviyam, but certain references which the Kavi has made about his own Vamsham, own family also, and for our knowledge also we can just go through it. Yeah. Tatsonuh kila Venkatadwari. Tatsonuh meaning Raghunatha Dikshitar's son. Venkatadwari kavistasyanumatya guroho Srimadyadava Raghaviya Charitam Shlokai Shubhais Trimshata 30 shlokas. Tairakhyati nigadyate ksharaganair yatranulom yoditaih Ramasya pratilomatastu patitaih Krishnasya yat kriditam. He himself gives the description of the text which he composes. Ramasya story I write it. The Pratiloma Paddhati, when you read it, Patitaihi Krishnasya yat kriditam. The glories of Krishna are described. Yeah. So you see, now a text like this, only if we know, okay, in this part, now usually you see there is a shloka or something in front of us, sorry, we will just read it in the normal way, right? Now only if we know or someone tells us or we read saying that, okay, in the Pratiloma Paddhati, from backwards also if you read, there is a meaning to it, and only if we know the meaning, we will know that, okay, something like this exists, right? So this is the reason why Venkatadri Kavi, he himself gives a description of this text saying that Ramasya pratilomatastu patitaiv Krishnasya yat kriditam. You read it one way, story of Rama. Read it in the Pratiloma Paddhati, story of Krishna. Now, one more aspect of this Kavi is, he gets many titles also, saying that Kavi Vidmanmani or Shleshyamaka Chakravarti. Now, Shleshyam is a type of a style of writing a kavyam. Yeah, like this kavyam that I told you, one way you read, other way you read, and so on. Similarly, there are certain ways in which shlokas can be composed. Like for example, in Sanskrit literature, not only Venkatadri Kavi, you have many references wherein one aksharam alone, say for example, the or so, that will be used to compose an entire shloka. Just by using the aksharam the, an entire shloka is composed, and that will have a very, you can say, a varied meaning also. Maybe in some later session also we will go through that. So this is one very, very unique way. Or one way is this Raghava Yadaviyam style only of writing the same shloka in two ways you can interpret. Or there is also one more very unique way of writing is one sentence that is there will run into pages in Sanskrit literature. The best examples being Kalidasa's description. Kalidasa, great Sanskrit poet, in his works also he uses this way, wherein one sentence that is there, or one sentence, it will run into pages without having a full stop in between. Yeah. So that when there is a description of nature also, trees around, clouds around, mountains, this and that. So this again shows the beauty of the language and the intelligence, the genius of the poet, how he puts it in front of us, right? So these are, so like this Shleshya Chakravarti is one style of this title. Why this Venkatadri got is a style of writing a kavyam. Now normally when we say you write a kavyam also, okay, Ramayanam, Mahabharatam and so on, but or any text that is there, but the same thing if it is interpreted in a very, very different manner. I'll give you 1-2 examples. Now Bhasa, again Bhasa was now just to why I'm giving you these examples is just so that we know the style of literature. Yeah, Bhasa again a great Sanskrit poet like Kalidasa. In fact, Kalidasa is said to be a very young poet. Bhasa was quite behind, a very, very old ancient poet even before Kalidasa. Now Bhasa mainly is known for many for writing many plays and dramas, on basis the Ramayana, Mahabharatam, and in general also he has written many stories and dramas. So there is one drama which he writes keeping the Ramayana as the base, that is Pratima. The name of the play is Pratima. Now Pratima, as the name itself suggests, meaning statue, right? Now you can see that these poets who are there, they get the freedom, or they have the liberty of writing or interpreting things the way they want, right? Because it is just a play, right? So they will keep the Ramayana as the basis, but little here, just to make the story a bit interesting also, they will put things here and there. So now this Pratima, the story that is there, it is the incident wherein Bharata and Shatrughna, Rama and Lakshmana have gone to Vanavasam along with Sita. Bharata and Shatrughna have come from the Matula Griham, from their uncle's place back to Ayodhya. They don't know the news of Dasharatha's death, they don't know the news of Rama's Vanavasam and so on. Directly it seems that Bharata, now in Ayodhya, it seems that there was a room, there was a place wherein the statues, the pratimas of various sages, the ancestors of Rama or of Raghukulam, that was being kept. Raghu, Aja, Dasharatha, Dilipa and so on. So of everyone it was being kept, it seems. And of people who are no longer there, that is, they are no longer alive, right? So basically the ancestors of Rama, that was being kept there. So Bharata, before, whenever he used to visit from outside also, not only Bharata, all the people who were there, they used to first come and pray, worship their ancestors, and then only they used to go and worship, meet everyone else, it seems. So Bharata, Shatrughna also, they come, they meet, they see, they worship all their ancestors, Sagara, Dilipa, Aja, everyone is there. And finally, the Pratima of Dasharatha is also seen there, it seems. And Bharata gets the shock of his life. He did not know the news, the death news of Dasharatha. But when he sees the statue of Dasharatha, immediately he comes to know. So what happens further, in detail, how Bharata reacts to that, then how he goes and meets Kaikeyi that is there, how she reacts to this, all this is mentioned there. So you see a very, very interesting portion, or something which no one can imagine, right? No one will even, you can say, or even in the original Valmiki Ramayana also, not much stress is given upon this, right? But Bhasa keeps this as the main story, or the main storyline itself of Pratima is this, wherein how Bharata reacts after seeing the Pratima, seeing the statue of Dasharatha there, how he interprets the news, further how he gets the news of the Vanavasam of Rama and so on. There also his interaction with Kaikeyi, wherein Kaikeyi makes a statement saying that I just wanted to say 14 days, but due to a slip of a tongue or so, it became 14 years. So that also is a very unique way of putting. So this incidents that are there, this interaction of Kaikeyi saying instead of 14 days, I told 14 years, or Bharata looking at the statue of Dasharatha and interpreting the death of Dasharatha and saying that something is wrong in the kingdom. All these incidents that are there, they are not a part of the original story, right? Or not much stress is given upon these topics in the original Ramayana. But just to make the text a bit interesting also, or it's not that these incidents would have also really happened. There is no proof on that. But Bhasa or poets like this, they have the liberty, little, of maybe deviating a bit from the original story just to make things a bit interesting. So this is one more method. Why I gave you this example of Bhasa is, this is one more method of writing a story that is there, writing a kavyam, which is there in Sanskrit literature. Yeah. So many examples I gave you, wherein one sentence only can run into pages, or in the case of Raghava Yadaviyam, one verse can be interpreted two ways, or in the case of Bhasa, keeping some main story like the Ramayana as a base, writing something, focusing on very interesting and unique incidents of the Ramayana, and again using one's imagination to write that. That is one paddhati. So these are using one single aksharam to compose a verse also. Like this, there are many, many unique features in the Sanskrit language which is used to compose kavyam, gadyam, padyam in the Sanskrit language. Yeah. So while we talk further about Venkatadri, like I told you, Venkatadri's guru was Vedanta Deshika, and he has composed a Champu Kavyam. Again, Champu Kavyam is a kind of literature in Sanskrit language. So this Kavyam in praise of his Acharya, praise of his guru, Vedanta Deshika, and that text is called as Acharya Panchashat. And like this, there are many texts along with Raghava Yadaviyam, a stotram which the poet composed is Lakshmi Sahasram, which is again keeping the Paduka Sahasram of Vedanta Deshika in mind. So you can see Venkatadri Kavi, he has always kept his Guru Vedanta Deshika in par with him. So like Paduka Sahasram is composed by Vedanta Deshika, similarly on the same basis you have Lakshmi Sahasram which is composed by Venkatadri. We also have Srinivasa Sahasram which he has composed. Shravananandaha, there is another stotram which is composed by Venkatadri, and also this Acharya Panchashat shlokas in praise of his Guru Vedanta Deshika. Yeah. And he also has composed a lot of Champu Kavyams. Champu Kavyam is again a type of Kavyam which is composed, or Gadyam. Gadyam is in the story form. Yeah. So like this there are Uttara Champu, Srinivasa Vilasa Champu. Like this there are different Champus which are composed by Venkatadri. And in Padyam that is there. Like Padyam is this like a poetry form also. You have Raghava Yadaviyam. Along with that you also have Subhashita Kaustubha. So like this there are many shlokas. Like I told you, 108 works of Venkatadri we know. Out of that only 20 are available today. That too mostly in the form of manuscripts or so. But like this you see the genius of Venkatadri is something which is very unique. And you have even in the parampara of Venkatadri you have many scholars. Like I told you, many Dikshitas also. And mainly he belonged to the Vaishnava Sampradaya, that is there. So that's why you have Vedanta Deshika also as his guru. But at the same time, in the same period, we have great scholars like Nilakanta Dikshita and so on too. So there can be a connection between all. Like I told you, in the place of Kanchipuram we had many scholars. So there can be, like even Vedanta Deshika, Appaya Dikshita and so on, they were during the same period. You have different similar texts and commentaries that are written. So there can be a connection between all these scholars. Of course there is, we don't know much about that. But all these scholars who are there, they were all in close connection with each other. That's why during the same time period also roughly, you have a lot of these texts and gems, treatises that are composed. Yeah. And about the text, as we have already seen, we have mainly the story base, the heroes of the text. Hero is nothing but Neta, as we call of the Kavyam. Raghavaha, that is Rama, Yadavaha, Krishna. And one more specific aspect, like I told you, Swa-Vyakhyaya Sahitam Kavyam. Special aspect of Venkatadri is he himself Swa-Vyakhyaya. He himself has written a Vyakhya, a commentary on the text. Anuvarnita Rama Krishna Vrittayen Anuloma Pratilo Mavachanabhyam Kritimullasitam Vidaya Padyair Vivrinoti Swayameva Venkataryaha. He himself has given the detailed description of the text, how it should be interpreted and so on. And the source, the Upajivyam, that is, Upajivyam is the main base or the life itself of the text, is Ramayanam, the source of the text, and Harivamsham, like I told you. The story base from that, Vastu. Vastu is nothing but the story base. Now these are all terms, Neta, Vastu, Upajivyam, terms that are used for composing a Kavyam. So the Vastu or the main story matter that is there, subject matter is Ramacharitam, the glories of Rama, keeping the Valmiki Ramayanam as the base, and Parijata Haranam from the Harivamsha Puranam of Mahabharatam. So this is the story base of this Kavyam. So for now, even for Kavi Venkatadri, so here itself, if we are keeping the Valmiki Ramayanam, the Harivamsham and so on as the base, this itself shows that how much study or how great a scholar would be this Venkatadri, because only when you read the original text also, you will be able to compose something, right? So this shows again the greatness of the text that is there.